Calling the police after a car accident isn't just a formality. In Georgia, skipping that one step could cost you tens of thousands of dollars because without an official report, it's going to become a he said, she said situation that the insurance companies are always going to use against you. In this video, I'm going to show you 4 critical steps that you need to take right after a car accident to protect your settlement and maximize what you deserve. Hi, I'm attorney David Bronze. I started my career working for the insurance companies, and that meant that my job was figuring out how to pay people like you as little as possible. Seeing how that system worked from the inside not only broke my heart, but it's exactly why I share these videos. I want you to know the same tricks I used against people so that you can protect yourself. And look, if you ever need to talk to a lawyer you can trust, you can always give us a call here at Bronze Law. I'm the owner and I'm running the firm. You will always have access to me. So let me walk you through the 4 critical steps that can make the difference between a fair settlement and getting lowballed. Step 1, call 911 and get an official police report. Now, this might sound obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people think that the accident is too minor to call the police. And here's the problem with that. Without a police report, you're going to have no neutral third party documenting what happened. I had a client who thought her accident was so minor that calling the police would be a waste of time for everybody. The other driver seemed nice, apologized, and they exchanged information. Fast forward 3 weeks, and that same driver is now telling their insurance company that my client ran the red light. No police report meant no official record of what really happened, and her claim went from an easy settlement to a nightmare. In Georgia, if someone is injured or there's significant damage to the vehicles, the law actually requires you to call the police. But even if it seems minor, call anyway. That officer is going to investigate, document the scene, and most importantly, determine who is at fault. That police report becomes an official document as part of the permanent record, and it can be used as evidence while you're negotiating with the insurance company or even later in court. Insurance companies take these reports very seriously. It's often the first thing they ask for or get in a claim. It can be the difference between them accepting your claim or fighting you every step of the way. Now, while you're waiting on the police to arrive, there's something else you need to be doing. Step 2, document everything at the scene. You can't rely on what the police document. The more evidence you have, the stronger your case. I've seen cases won because a client took a photo of debris in the road and proved that the impact was harder than what the other driver claimed. So here's what you need to do. Take photos of all the vehicles from every angle. You want to capture the damage on the vehicles, the license plates, everything. You also want to take photos of the scene itself, the road conditions, traffic lights, street signs, and skid marks. Even better, take a video. Walk around with your phone and capture everything because you never know what small detail might become crucial later. All got phones in our pocket. Those phones have cameras and video. There's no reason not to do this. But here's the most important part, and I can't stress this enough. You have to get the witness information. Find anyone who saw what happened and get their full name, phone number, and address. Here's why this matters so much. About 95% of the time, witnesses don't end up on the police report. I can't tell you the number of clients I've had who have told me, oh, there were witnesses at the scene who saw everything, but they didn't get their information and they appear nowhere on the police report. Now, that person is gone forever. Without that contact information, we can't find them, and that eyewitness testimony is lost. So if you can do nothing else at the scene, get the witness details. Step 3, get treatment immediately and document your pain. This step has 2 parts, and both are critical. First, I need you to see a doctor immediately, even if you feel okay. Here's the truth. A lot of injuries in car accidents don't show up right away. Whiplash, back strain, and even concussions can take days to appear. If you wait too long to see a doctor, the insurance company will argue you weren't really hurt, that there's a gap in treatment. Then once you start treatment, be consistent. Follow your doctor's recommendations and don't skip appointments. And don't stop treatment early. Insurance companies look for these gaps in medical treatment as proof that you're either exaggerating your injuries, weren't really hurt, or weren't following doctor's orders. It's their favorite argument to make to reduce your case. The second part is keeping what I call a pain and suffering journal. Pain and suffering, which is the legal term for the physical pain, the emotional distress, and the loss of enjoyment of life you experience because of your injuries, is usually the biggest part of your settlement, but it's also the hardest to prove. It doesn't appear in x-rays or lab lab reports. Imagine trying to testify 2 years from now about how much pain you were in the week after the accident. You're barely going to remember the details. But if you have a journal that says you couldn't sleep, that your pain was an 8 out of 10, and you missed your daughter's soccer game because you couldn't sit that long, now you've got evidence, and that becomes powerful. You don't have to write in it every day, but I do want you to document your bad pain days. Tell the journal your worst days, not your best days. You want to look for things like sleep problems, activities you had to miss. You also want to note when you couldn't work, couldn't drive, or couldn't do normal daily tasks. This journal is going to help you remember the details later, and it will significantly strengthen your claim when it's time to negotiate your settlement. It's one of the most important things you can do to help yourself. Step 4, understanding Georgia's fault laws. Now, here's where a lot of people get tripped up, and it's because they don't understand one critical Georgia law. Georgia has what's called a modified comparative negligence law. Here's what that means in plain English. You can be partially at a fault for the accident in Georgia and still recover compensation, but only up to a certain point. Let's do an example. Let's say you're found to be 25% at fault. That means you're only going to get 75% of your settlement. So if your case is worth $100,000, but you were 25% at fault, you are only going to walk away with $75,000. They're reducing the value by your percentage of fault. And here's the kicker in Georgia. If you are 50% or more at fault, you get zero, nothing. Once you hit that 50% mark, you lose any right to compensation at all. This is exactly why you should never admit fault at the scene or even to an adjuster. Even saying something like, I could have been paying more attention, or maybe I was going a little too fast, can add percentage points against you. The insurance companies will use those statements to shift blame onto you and reduce what they have to pay. They are always looking for things to shave points. So be very careful with your words, both at the scene and when you're talking to adjusters later on. And here's one more thing you need to know. In Georgia, you have 2 years from the date of accident to file your lawsuit, or you lose those rights forever. This is called the statute of limitation, and insurance companies know this deadline, and they're often going to drag their feet, hoping you run out of time. Do not let that happen. Mark it on your calendar and stay way ahead of it. At my law firm, we mark it on the calendar. We mark 6 months before, 3 months before, so we have multiple reminders that it's coming up. If you've been in a car accident in Georgia and you're dealing with medical bills, missed work, and insurance companies that are giving you the runaround, call us at Braun's Law for a free case review. Let's make sure you get every dollar you deserve. Now, here's the other thing. Even if you do everything I just told you, there's one more piece of the puzzle that can make or break your settlement, and that's understanding your insurance coverage. In my next video, I'm going to show you the Georgia car insurance coverage that can save you thousands versus the other coverages that could potentially cost you thousands and not add anything extra. I'm going to break down exactly what you need and what's just a waste of money. So click the link, and I'll see you in the next one.